Hi everyone, Jeremy here from Modern Vitality. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down the 4-stage process to overcoming complex chronic health conditions. So if that's something you're dealing with, this video should be pretty insightful for you. I'm going to pack in over a decade's worth of experience, some of the insights and distinctions that I've learned, some really important frameworks in terms of helping people overcome these complex chronic inflammatory conditions. If that's not you, if you're not working on symptoms like brain fog, fatigue, weird pains, sleep trouble, all the things that tend to come with these complex symptom patterns, even like anxiety and digestive issues, depression. If that's not you, probably skip this video. But if you're working on this, maybe you got a diagnosis, maybe you don't. A lot of these conditions, you can get a bunch of different diagnoses. Like they throw around fibromyalgia, sometimes they suspect Lyme disease, chronic fatigue, there's EMF sensitivity, there's mold, like mycotoxin. If this is you, you're going to want to stick around for this because when we get into the mycotoxin stuff, it affects so many different body systems. It's insane. There's a lot of this. Now we have long haulers too, right? There's lots of different ways to name these clinical pictures, but what they all have in common, because that's a lot of my job is to notice patterns. What they all have in common is they're complex, which means there's a ton of moving parts. And when you try to treat this condition yourself, ultimately, like here's usually what happens is you go to a doctor or whoever your first point of contact is in the medical world. They try to give you a diagnosis and they maybe have some symptom suppressive type treatments or something like that. Sometimes that works and we get lucky, great. Other times you wind up with alternative practitioners like myself. I've been trained in Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine, acupuncture, all these kinds of things. You wind up with somebody like that and they try the standard modalities, which in my experience, again, that's hit or miss. And then you wind up on Dr. Google, right? Or on YouTube, looking up all your symptoms and trying to figure out your condition and what are people using. You wind up on the forums doing a ton of research, and you can get a lot of suggestions. And one of the patterns that I've noticed is that people looking to get their health back tend to think, right? Because kind of by default, we tend to think, I just need to learn more. I just need more information. And ultimately what winds up happening is we get information overload. So you wind up on Google with 10 million search results, or you wind up on staying up all night on chat forums, right? I've been there myself, by the way. And you're looking for recommendations and you get like 200 people all recommending all these different supplements they've tried or different protocols, different things like that. So where do you start? Well, most people think they need more information. I've actually come to find out that most people just need better information. We need the right information that's organized in a way where we can actually take advantage of the things we need to be doing now without getting overwhelmed and bogged down, and then be able to structure ourselves a healing plan. So I'm going to share with you the way I break this down for the people. We have a group, a chat group. It's international. There's people in our group and people I'm working with and helping them go through this process. And I want to share this with you too so that you have this framework in your mind, because the way you understand, right, the way you understand your health and how to structure your plan is going to change the way you feel in terms of your confidence around if it's even possible to get better. This is huge. This is massive. So we're going to start. I got my marker here. So we're going to start with current situation right now. Okay, right now, currently, when people are having complex inflammatory conditions, usually they've got a pile of symptoms, right? And the symptoms could be fatigue. Sorry about my writing. I'm just going to blast this out here, but fatigue, right? All the weird pains, wandering pains, they feel inflamed, like they're getting the flu, like for weeks or months. There's usually a swelling, carrying water in different ways, retaining fluids, focus trouble, like brain fog, sleep trouble, digestive. I mean, the list really just keeps going. Everybody starts looking at their thyroid, hormones, things like that. The sex drive, the libido is just toast. There's a lot of stuff that happens here. It can be overwhelming. Absolutely. People come in, they say, I feel like a hot mess, right? Hot mess. That's something people say a lot. So if you're feeling like a hot mess, it's all right. Okay. Don't freak out. I know you've probably been dealing with this a while. You're probably wondering like if you're ever going to be able to get your life back or not, but don't freak out. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you right now why people lose morale and why they start to freak out so that you don't have to do that and you can start moving forward with a little more structure. So before we get to that, we've got the current situation, right? What's happening right now. And then we've got this future where it's everything that we would want. What do we want life to be like, right? Obviously less symptoms. Less symptoms. So what does that mean for less symptoms? One of the best ways to understand this is that you want less frequency of symptoms, right? So they happen less often. And when they do happen, less intensity. Okay, so whatever it is, brain fog, fatigue, pains, if those things happen less often, like migraines, some people get migraines like once a week, twice a week, every day. If you can get the frequency down, that's a big win. Or you can get the intensity down, or both. Those are all huge wins. So when we have all the symptoms piling up, what we get is, we call it the shrinking world, because this is really how this stuff starts to impact your life. And one of the best ways, I just draw a little circle with all these arrows going in, because what we usually do, and this is a human tendency, is that we start to lose trust in our bodies, and we start to lose trust in our symptoms, right? If they're going to come or not, we don't know. And then we have a hard time saying yes to things. So what tends to happen, most people, they'll just start to shrink their world down, which means if somebody invites you out for dinner, you say, I don't know, that's next week. I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. I can't. You're thinking about a trip. Well, I'm probably going to get tired. I might feel bad about slowing everybody down. I might be in a lot of pain. Traveling might be miserable. What if I catch a cold when I'm there? It's going to just totally flare me up. No, I better not. All these things. If you're working in a professional capacity and you're having wicked fatigue, you've got to say no to another client. Can't take on another client ethically, right? I can't do this. I can't handle this workload because I don't know. The life radius shrinks. A lot of people I work with, they don't want to be too far from home because in case they crash, they need to know they can get to their bed. It's normal for this to happen, right? Not necessarily healthy, not optimal, but what I will tell you is you're in very good company if this is you. If your world is shrinking, that's what happens, okay? This is a normal response. But this is where you want to start to get your life back. So when you look in the future, we're going, okay, we want this world to start expanding, which means saying yes to stuff, right? All the things that you love doing, you want to be able to get out there and live life, connect with other people without having to worry about the uncertainty of going, okay, I don't know, if it hits the fan, right, I might not feel really good and I might just crash out in the middle of whatever event it is that you've committed to going to, like a wedding. I mean, I've had people come through and they say, listen, I just want to be able to know I can go to my daughter's wedding and dance at it. Okay, that's it. Right now I'm bedridden. That's my goal. I work with people on all kinds of goals, right? But it's the theme is shrinking world, re-expanding world. This is really important. I'm going to show you how to get there. So when we have this current situation, a lot of times this future can seem like infinitely far away. And I'm going to draw this as like a little bracket here, and I'm going to write abyss. And the reason why I call this the abyss is because when you're sitting in this position going, okay, I feel like a hot mess. Yeah, and I've tried a few things that haven't really worked. And I'm starting to get frustrated, overwhelmed, pissed off, right? A little bit depressed, a little bit terrified, if I'm being honest, right? All that stuff kind of kicks in. And just to think, how am I going to get from where I am right now to having any kind of life back, right? It can be like, it just seems infinite. It's like, how am I going to do this? Totally infinite, the abyss. We never know how close or how far away we are from healing when we don't have any kind of demarcations here. And what usually happens, okay, without a plan, without whole systems thinking, I use a 4-step approach, basically. Sometimes there's like a bonus stage 5 we use, right? But for the most part, it's 4 stages. And without the demarcations, which I'm about to show you, what often happens is you'll try something and you'll start to get some progress towards healthy future, right? You'll try and you'll get a little bit of progress and then you wind up with it wearing off or you get a setback and you kind of wind up back where you are. Usually this is about a 1-month timeline. So when people start a new supplement or a new kind of a silver bullet thing where they're like, okay, maybe this one, I got it from a chat group, or my practitioner I'm seeing is putting me on some new thing, brand new thing, right? And they start a new thing, but there's no plan. Usually it'll have about a month, more or less, before you can start to see it erode and set back because there's no grab to it. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. So you want to be able to understand that if you've tried something, it didn't work, even if you think it should have, that it's not necessarily your fault. And it's not necessarily that there's something wrong with you that won't let you heal. Okay. And I'm going to tell you from my own experience, even in the trenches doing Chinese medicine, acupuncture treatments, especially for some of these complex chronic cases, when I do the normal acupuncture, right, it could be a coin toss. And I had to figure out, I had to do a lot of research because what I was taught in my fundamental training was not applying to the real world in a way where these kinds of patients were getting better like they should have. And it's not the patient's fault. So acupuncture, a lot of other modalities, they have that. They require a healthy immune response in order to have the best effects. So there are things you need to do kind of strategically, right, to even set the table so that you can do certain therapies and that they'll work. So this can happen with any, supplements, protocols, even pharmaceutical meds, like whatever it is. There's a lot to it. It's not just about acupuncture. But I'll be transparent about my experience and my past failures, clinical failures too. And what I've learned from those is that you have to have an order and a structure. Because otherwise, you'll try something, it works for a little bit, and then you get kind of sent back, and that's bad for morale. Now, the other case is sometimes we try something without a plan and we get lucky, which is awesome, right? We go all the way. It's like, do not pass go, just go straight to this great future. And it's like, holy smokes, I feel like myself. I got my energy back. I'm feeling good. And then what happens is we get triggers, right? So there's usually about 5 different types of triggers, and you have to learn your triggers. And this is something we work on within our group here. I like everybody to be pretty informed about this. And we'll talk about medical independence in just a minute too, but this is huge. Usually, because life's not perfect, the world's not perfect, right? You'll get a trigger or 2 or 3, or maybe something from all 5, and you get set back and you get a flare up. And when you got lucky with whatever thing you tried and it got you there, all of a sudden you get sent back to where you were, and it's like hopeless. Because luck isn't a strategy, right? Luck is just, you got lucky. It's not a repeatable process. So I've seen people too where they say, listen, I tried this thing before, it worked great, and then I had 3 different things happen, like I had an immune trigger, I had a wicked stressor, and I ate something I shouldn't have, and it sent me back, and now it doesn't work. I can't get back there. Okay, so this is stuff we all have to take into account, because reality is a little messy, right? It's just more chaos. It's more complexity with an already complex symptom picture going on. So we're going to look at this so that you can avoid getting sent back in the little loop all the time and kind of buzzing around your current situation. And so that if you do get some progress, which is great, that you're able to actually understand how you did it. And then if you do get set back, you don't get set back all the way. You'll actually know where you are. So I'm going to show you how we carve this up, this abyss, so that we have structure. And one of the best things to do is to start to understand it's a little bit of a step model here. 3, 4. So I gave you 4 steps. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have to start looking, right? And I say you because ultimately this is going to come to you. Nobody can do this stuff for you. The best doctors, right? The best practitioners, and anybody who's trying to help, I've found we can give these frameworks, right? And having a really good framework is a serious head start, which is good. But ultimately, like, I don't follow the people I work with. I'm not over their shoulder all day going, hey, don't eat that, or hey, do this, right? I'm here for support, and people check in and they ask questions, and I love questions, and I'm always learning. But really, it's going to come down to empowering you, the individual, to start to understand these stages and where you are on a day-to-day basis, and what kinds of triggers are affecting your progress up this stairway, right? Because we've got now some scaffolding across this abyss. So you can learn how to maneuver this. And one of the ways we're going to look at this is by body system. Because when you have complex chronic illnesses, you've got multiple systems going on, all firing off, affecting each other, and then they're leaning on each other and they're compensating. And that's where a lot of these symptoms are coming from. So our first one we're going to look at is immune, the immune system. I'm just going to abbreviate here. And then we have digestive, and then we have neuroadrenal, and then we have circulatory or tissue repair. All right. And as I mentioned, there's a bonus stage 5. Not everybody needs that, but that's how when you work in order, right? That's how you actually get the most leverage. So that sometimes you don't have to do some of this stuff at the end anyway. It's in order. And what do I mean by immune system, digestive, neuroadrenal, circulatory, right? What am I talking about? I'm talking about using specific interventions. I like to lean towards herbs, right? Herbal medicine. I like a lot of the natural stuff. That's my bias, but you don't have to. You can work within functional medicine. You can work within Western medicine even to an extent. And you can start to understand how to use the treatments and the therapies that you're being offered in a strategic way. So you don't start with everything and throw everything at your body, right? That's the shotgun approach. And you don't just grab random stuff one at a time because you're just wishing and hoping. That's a silver bullet. Instead, we have to have an ordered sequence where we start to interact with the body. And there are a lot of reasons why we do it in this way. It's something that's been time tested. It's based on thousands of years of Eastern medicine, and we've brought it up to speed with modern understanding of physiology and pathology. And it's standing tough, which has been pretty cool to see this thing surviving the test of time. So the way we approach this is far beyond what I learned in my foundational training as Chinese medicine student, right? But this is advanced, but it works, and it can be learned by even somebody with brain fog can start to learn this. That's my goal, right? We make it so anybody can handle this. Immune system. There's going to be certain types of symptoms that show that you're in stage 1. I'm not going to get into the weeds on all this because I have other videos that explain all these things in detail, but I want to give you an overview here. There are certain symptoms of an inflammatory process, of hidden pathogens in your body, of stagnant lymph. There's a lot of stuff like that that we can look at, and you can learn how to look at yourself and start to assess where you are on the abyss, right? If you've got that kind of stuff going on, then we need to stay in stage 1. We need to handle that. And as that starts to clear up, you're going to find that your body will present graduation signs, which is really cool. When you see specific symptoms start to go away, then you know, and we know, and we can talk about this when it's time, that yes, it's time to start shifting your focus towards stage 2, working more on the digestive system. And likewise, there are graduation markers for stage 2. So then you start to work on the next one, right? Neuroadrenal. We're starting to get some of those old stressors taken care of. We're starting to get the neurological overwhelm. We're starting to get the parasympathetic to be able to drop, right? So that you can have that vagal tone, right? So that you can actually relax and rest, get deep restorative sleep. And then you have circulation, tissue repair. This is when we start to work on actually rebuilding and feeding a lot of the cells in the body. I know this sounds counterintuitive, right? A lot of people start with sleep. They say, oh, sleep's the key to health. We need to get you sleeping. But there are a lot of reasons why that's not the best place to start for most people, including that you have to have actually a good inflammatory response to even have good sleep, as we're learning, right? Not a lot of people know this stuff. So you want to have these steps. And what's really great about working within this model is that we've accounted for reality, which is imperfect. Meaning, when people go through this process and they start out with all this kind of hot mess thing going on, right, of symptoms, and they start getting better, and some of their stage 1 symptoms are going away, we're getting these graduation signs that, hey, it's time to advance, go to stage 2, and they're doing great, doing great, doing great. And we get to this place where you're living your life, right? You're having less fatigue, less pains, none of that flu-like inflamed thing, the swelling's going down, right? You're trying to manage your triggers, not getting mold hits and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes a trigger will come, right? Or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or whatever. We can't always control that. And what happens that's really great, really great, I know this doesn't sound great, but it is great, is that when you get set back by a trigger, because you will, okay? It doesn't bring me any pleasure to say that, but life's not perfect, okay? We have setbacks, we have flare-ups, we have things happen. But what's really great about it is that when you get set back, you will know, because you're educated and trained, you will know which stage you got set back to. It's kind of like that chutes and ladders game where you don't go all the way back to 0, right? But you maybe go down a couple levels and you realize you can start to assess your situation and go, oh, I got hit with a couple triggers. I was doing great. And now I'm here. So I need to work stage 2 again. I need to focus on those types of self-care practices, those types of herbs, those types of strategies. And I need to get my way back up. I can't tell you how liberating this is to be able to have a model where when you get set back, you're not back in the abyss, just grasping, right? For anything, like a drowning person. It's not that. Once you have this structure, nobody can take that away from you. You will learn your body in a different way. This is what I mean about empowerment, right? Because it changes from, oh, Jeremy, what do I do? What do I do? To all of a sudden I see people as we're working together and they go, Jeremy, this is what happened. Here's how I'm thinking about it. Do you have any other thoughts? Right? This is a whole different deal. These are patients that are taking their health into their own hands. And we have this goal of medical independence, which I'm going to write down because it's important, right? And this can look different for different people. Medical independence doesn't always mean no medicine of any kind, right? Some medical independence means that they're taking less of the pharmaceuticals they were on, or they don't need pills to fall asleep. Some people, they've got a supplement drawer with like 150 bottles of supplements that they've accumulated, which I'm not against supplements at all, right? I like supplements. The thing I'm against is not having a plan. When you don't have a plan, you wind up with a drawer full of stuff. It's eating up your kitchen, right? So medical independence might be that they're able to get rid of a lot of that stuff or navigate the supplements they're taking. Medical independence means that you start to develop a deeper intuition with your body, that you learn how to trust that intuition because it's been there all along, but also we train it. We train that intuition so that it's more clear and more accurate. And you can, instead of trying to figure out what's going on, you can immediately go stage 1, stage 3. And then the third thing is we actually arm you with things you can use, right? Different techniques like breath work, breathing practices, self-care practices, self-massage, acupressure. Like I like a lot of the stuff that you can do at home and that you can do anytime with no equipment or anything like that. And there's also herbs. You learn to look at your foods this way too. You can categorize your foods in terms of how they're going to affect your immune system or your blood circulation. Really fascinating. Once you open your third eye up to this stuff, you're going to have a radically different existence. So I enjoy the medical independence part, and I know it looks different for different people, but that's always our goal, is to get more and more independence so that when life does happen, right, and you do get a setback, that you're not back flailing around in the middle of the abyss. That's my goal for everybody that I come into contact with. So we have a group, we use a group chat, and that's how we stay in contact. And basically it's international. You know, you're going to meet people from all over the place in there, lovely people. Everybody there has a great attitude. And even though things are difficult, right? Even though we come in, most people I meet, they're not having the best day of their life the first time we meet, right? They're struggling, and they've been struggling, and they're working on a lot of complex stuff. And they got a lot to figure out, right? And they've been let down, disappointed, and it's people come and it's not the best day of their life. I'm just going to say that. But despite that, we have a culture in our group that's optimistic. We're not all about misery and suffering and blaming other people. We're self-empowered, and we're coming in even when stuff is really difficult. We're coming in with our eyes open, and we're saying, okay, here's what I've got. What can I do about it? So there's a group of us that are communicating. We keep a chat group. I keep a vault of videos and other content where I explain a lot of this stuff. There's hundreds of these things that I've now accumulated over the years, going over all kinds of topics. There's all kinds of stuff. And when sometimes people have a question that's not covered in the vault, then it becomes a vault post. So this community is very lively. It's growing. It's international. And I would encourage you to consider joining. There's a application link. You can find it. You're a detective, right? You'll hunt it down. It's got to be nearby this video somewhere. You can find it, and there may be a bit of a wait. I keep our group pretty cozy. It's about 100, 150 people. It's where we max out at. I like to know who I'm talking to. I like to know the people. It's a closer kind of contact. So we do keep the group numbers low, which means there might be a bit of a wait. But as soon as I can, I'll get you in the group. And just know I am training other practitioners because I can only take so many people in our group at once. So I'm training other practitioners to try to help more people, which is great because we need more and more physicians thinking like this. So we have our group. Totally free to join as a guest. I would encourage you to get in there. I would love to get to know you. Sometimes people get really excited about this stuff and they say, Jeremy, all right, great. I love this model. I'm done flailing around with all this and I'm done trying and failing. Because that's another thing. Every time you try and fail, you lose a little bit more morale. This is a big deal. Every time you try and fail, you lose a little more morale, which means eventually you're going to hit rock bottom. I don't like to see people get to this point where they lose so much hope. One of the ways to remedy that is to have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Just carve this up so that you now know where you are, right? If you have a plan, if you have a whole systems plan that's thought out like this, it's a lot harder to fail. It's a lot harder to fail because a lot of times when things don't work, we can actually interpret that and go, oh, I see. This is a sign. We know how to interpret what your body's saying. This is telling you need more stage 3 focus or whatever, and we can guide and go forward. So we want to get that morale up. We want to get your hope up. We want to get you like looking forward to the future, right? And not just try and fail, try and fail, try and fail. So we have our group. I would encourage you to join it. It's fantastic. I love hanging out in there. And again, it's free and it's a chat group. And we keep it very personal. We keep it very cozy. Sometimes people get so excited about this and they want to jump in and work with me and have me on their case. And I always recommend, instead of jumping into that, come in the group, hang out, at least for a couple weeks, get to know the culture, get to know how we work, ask me anything you want. It doesn't cost anything. You can ask me whatever you want. I welcome questions and I'm happy to help. You get to look over my shoulder as I'm walking other people from all over the planet through the same type of process. You get to meet other people in similar situations. Do all that so we can get to know each other. Always encourage that. Take your time. So I don't promote our group too often. You probably won't see like a lot more videos from me following you around the internet and those kinds of things. I'm not really into that. I just share what I do, and the people who are meant to be here will find their way in, and we go from there. So I hope this has helped you. Once you have this kind of framework, it really helps to sort out a lot of this mess here so that you're not getting overwhelmed, and so that you know what you're doing. You have a plan. If you want to get out of a complex chronic situation, you're going to need a plan with a lot of clarity and dynamic flexibility that takes account real life. So I hope I've explained some of this, and I hope that this helps you wherever you are. All right, cheers.